Welcome to Refined Resilience. I'm your host, Carrie Hill, and on this podcast, we highlight the small moments that shape our journey toward greatness and remind us that resilience isn't linear. Each episode features stories of perseverance and the little victories that often go unnoticed, illustrating that resilience is about finding strength in everyday life. Well, my friends, I am so thrilled to bring to you somebody that I actually just met a few months ago, but have an instant love and gratitude for, and that is my friend, Randy Sparks. He is a husband of nearly 21 years to Kathy Sparks, who is awesome, and a father to 3 amazing children, Max, Penelope, and Eva. He cherishes experiences over things and meaningful connection with people above all else, and I can feel that vibe from him whenever I'm around him. He's got 15 years of experience as an estate planning attorney, and he specializes in delivering customized peace of mind through sophisticated estate planning made easy. He is also the host of the awesome podcast, The Sparks of Gratitude, where he interviews inspiring individuals who share their wisdom and experiences on how gratitude has impacted their lives. He firmly believes that gratitude can change and save lives, and his mission is to help people transform their lives by choosing gratitude. I really love that, choosing gratitude. Randy loves cycling, biking, skiing. He loves watching tennis. And this is a fun fact. He's traveled the world to watch his favorite pros compete, with Rafael Nadal being his favorite. And he's attended the US Open, French Open, and Wimbledon, with the Australian Open remaining on his list. Not too shabby.
Someday.
His commitment to his family, clients, and the transformative power of gratitude defines his approach to both life and work. Hey, friend.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. If you just keep going, that could take the whole time.
I know. And we could just, everybody could just know you from the bio, and we could say, that's it. Go check them out online. So no, Randy, thanks so much for being here. Like I said earlier, I know we only met a couple of months ago, but there are those people in the world that you just feel connected with. And I think when you are an open vessel to feel the power of somebody else's soul, you know very quickly who your tribe is and who you want to pull into that space. And I really loved coming to your studio, meeting you and your beautiful wife, and just feeling your energy and your vibe. So thank you for being here today.
Well, yeah, thank you as well. I mean, it's an honor. And for everybody listening, hello, I'm so happy to be here. And I think you're right. I will echo that there is something about, I feel like in the last few years, I've become much more in tune and trusting my intuition and my own energy through just my own awareness and acceptance of where I am. And that has allowed me to see and feel. And law of attraction, say what you will, but I think that I've been presented with new connections, new relationships with people who are leaning into the same. And I think frequency vibrates together. And when you meet somebody who's in that, it's easy to connect because you're on the same frequency level and seeking the same thing. And so when you say that, I'm just feeling it. It just resonates.
The frequency is good, my friend. Remember that REM song? What's the frequency, Kenneth? Like, that's it. I loved that song. Do you know, I was having this conversation with my 20-year-old the other day, and all his friends are coming back from serving, abroad. They were doing service missions abroad, and they've come back just really at a different frequency than they left 2 years ago. And my son has been here for those 2 years doing some different things. And just watching him be around this group of kids again that are now operating at a higher frequency, I have just watched him over the past couple of weeks elevate himself. And to see that tangible elevation is just so beautiful. And so for you, you are interviewing really amazing people on your podcast that are operating at kind of this higher frequency level. And I want to know for you, Randy, being in touch with yourself, being around people that have this vibe, what has that done for you?
Oh, I think you just answered it when you talked about your son and his experiences, because I mean, I remember years and years ago learning things like, well, who are your five? Who are your five people? Because you want to know who you are. I mean, who are the people you spend your time with?
Right.
And be selective and choose the people that you want to be around. And I remember years ago kind of thinking about that. Well, who are the people that I choose to be around? And then remember thinking like how grateful I am that, wow, I didn't necessarily need to change the people that I was around. Like break up with an old friend because they're kind of tearing me down. But how fortunate I was to be around people who are intentional and are full of love and gratitude and growth. And that has given me the, I guess, opened my eyes to that what's possible in life. My wife and I are having this conversation this morning about, with our kids, what are the things that we can do to to give them the opportunity to have that. And part of it is just, we have a small influence on them. I'd like to think that it's more, but who has a bigger influence on them? Are there other people in their life?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't want that to be true. I want my influence to be what has them. But I think back, obviously my parents had an influence on me, but especially during those younger years, it was my friends' parents, my teachers, other leaders when I'm a youth, just other people in my circle that if my mom said this to me, I wouldn't have listened to her. But because my friend's mom said it, I'm like, oh, dude, your mom's so cool. And I mean, what an amazing thing that my mom can think. Like, wow, I'm grateful that he was listening to somebody say what I would have said to him.
Yes.
So I'm kind of wrapping around this a long way, but I want to be around that. And so that's a big part of where the genesis of the Sparks of Gratitude podcast came from, is I've been fortunate enough in my estate planning practice, professional, for work. I work with people who need to set up wills and trusts, and they're planning for their family legacies. And there's a lot of things involved in that. There's money, and there's emotion, and there's legacy. There's the values that people want to perpetuate and influence with their families. People are concerned about how do we invest in opportunity with our generations that come, and how do we do that while we're alive and after we pass away, and there's so much beyond when I pass away, I want these people to inherit and get a check. Right. It's so far beyond that. But in these conversations I have with people, I get very, in a short amount of time, I get a lot of depth. And this has given me an insight into kind of connecting with my personal practices of gratitude and personal improvement and growth and awareness and intention. That I realized the quality of people that have come into my life. Many of them have been clients and many from other sources. And so that's when my wife and I said, let's bring our gratitude practice outward. Let's give it to people. And that's when we started to print gratitude journals and give them to everybody, starting with clients. And so we've given away thousands of them. And we said, but we've had so many conversations with these people that we've come across, and they elevate our frequency. And we want that. Like, I want to surround myself with this. And we said, well, why don't we just hit the record button?
Yeah. So
that's where it started. And so the life that's being saved right now because of the Sparks of Gratitude podcast is mine. Because there's people that I've been able to talk to because of this that, how would I have ever been able to ring their doorbell?
Yeah.
And they end up on my podcast. And so it's pretty amazing to me that I get to surround myself with this. And then I'm like, wow, I'm worth their conversation, and they want to engage in that conversation with me, not just me kind of getting that from them as well.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the collective conversation is what is elevating people forward. And it's incredible. Derek Miner and I, just before I came in here, we've been friends since we were kids. He said something to me that he's like, it's incredible, this paradox of how, our significance on this earth, we are but the dust of the earth. Yet at the same time, we have divinity within us, and the influence that we can have is so infinite.
Yeah.
And so both of those things are true. We are nothing, yet we are capable of influencing and accomplishing so much. So I think that your comment on, how has this helped me? The question, the people that I've been around, I feel both of those things. Like I'm so insignificant. And I even have the self-talk of like, well, why me? Who am I? Like to talk to this person? Like, I don't have anything to offer, right? I mean, who doesn't feel that? I sure do. And then on the other hand, like I'm so grateful and honored to be able to share what experience I have, but then invite other people to do the same. And you know what? People have the same story. They just go through it on a different path.
Differently. Yeah. Randy, I really value your humility, and I do believe it is humility. Some people, I think they can feign humility, and but they have an over amount of confidence, in themselves. And I love that you said, who am I that you should talk to me? But I don't think you're doing that from a self-deprecating viewpoint. I think it's very much that the more quality people that you meet, for me anyway, the more quality people that I meet in my life, the more I desire to be of a higher quality, which means, oh my goodness, I have so much to learn from this person. And who am I that you would want to spend that time with me? Because I'm not yet to your degree. And what I often think is, but that same quality person is in conversation with you. So absolutely, you are worth that person's time, and you absolutely have value. I appreciate mentorship. I know that you are part of some groups that offer mentorship, and we were just talking before we went live about your accountability partner. Shout out to Curtis Morley, and how you help each other, to continue to elevate and continue to keep each other grounded, and in gratitude. So I want to ask you, while you're building these working with these clients to build out their legacies of what they want their trust to be and their future to be, I thought it was interesting that is where you introduced gratitude. And so your gratitude practice. So I want to go back even a little bit further past that point to say, have you always been a gratitude mindset? Has that been something that you were raised with? Like, when did that really start to develop for you?
The answer is no.
Okay.
Other than like anybody can come to tell you, hey, gratitude's good. And you can say, well, duh. Like, I don't think you could say that to anybody who's like, I don't know.
Sure.
Right. It's pretty obvious that gratitude is helpful, constructive, positive, and improves. But do I need to engage in some intentional gratitude practice? Right. Maybe I think I was always generally grateful, but it was different. It was maybe 15 years ago. My wife and I would visit from time to time with a positive psychologist. Our family shrink, we called him at the time.
Yeah.
Dr. Paul Jenkins, and he challenged my wife and myself to keep a intentional daily gratitude practice. I was taught the please and thank yous, and show appreciation and all that during my lifetime. And so I don't think I was taught to grow up to kind of just be unappreciative. And I was probably a selfish, entitled kid, all those things.
You were a teenager, you mean?
Yeah. but I don't think I was, a horrible human. Right. Reprehensible.
Sure.
But we started that, and I didn't think much of it, but my wife, she had these gratitude journals, and she gave me one, and she just said, write in this. And I was like, okay. I didn't throw it off and say, this is dumb.
Right.
I said, okay, I'll do that. And I did. And it was helpful that she did it too. And so we kind of reinforced each other. It's like every morning, first thing we did when we wake up, we'd grab our little gratitude journal, and we'd write our 3 things we're grateful for and 3 things that we're going to make today awesome. And then in the evening, we would do the same thing. And so it started then. And I'll tell you, it did not take very long. This is within days and weeks, where all of a sudden I started to notice, I'm like, whoa, like I feel more joy.
Yeah.
But my circumstances didn't change.
Right.
I wasn't making more money. I didn't have a change in life. I still would have hard stuff come in my life. So those things didn't change, but I did. And so as I just noticed even little things like when, driving, like my patience was enhanced because I felt this gratitude. I wasn't seeing complaint and victimhood and entitlement. I was seeing gratitude. You get what you're looking for. I can't remember what's that thing, when you're looking for a new pair of shoes and then everywhere you go, you just see them, you notice them everywhere. Well, that's real. If I'm focusing intentionally on gratitude, then suddenly I see it everywhere. And so that's where it started. And then when we come back to, with work, my employment, some years later, we'd gone through something kind of hard and we said, coming through the other side, I thought, and my wife was really kind of the promoter of this. She says, we've been really fortunate and things are great. We felt a duty to give something, and we're like, okay, but we don't know what does that even mean? So that's when we said, well, what's meaningful to us personally? And that was a gratitude practice. And so that's when we started saying, well, why don't we just make a gratitude journal? And we came up with the name Sparks of Gratitude. And it's awesome that my last name is Sparks.
Yeah, because it works out.
And which funny, kind of a separate thing. I remember when I was a little boy, my grandparents, my grandma and grandpa Sparks, my grandmother was an author and my grandpa was great. And they had printed these little notes. It was just like a notepad. Well, I think they had a notepad, but then I think they also just had some cards. They were thank you cards. And it was printed on, it said the Sparks Grateful Gram. Oh. And then around the border, it said thank you in different languages all the way around the outside. And I just remember that. And I thought my parents or grandparents were famous or something because it like said their name on something that was printed, But they'd printed these because they would express gratitude to people and send these thank you notes. And so I felt like I was kind of like perpetuating a legacy too, of saying, well, we want to give the gift of gratitude to people, but we're going to let them show what that gratitude is by filling out their own gratitude journal. And then how that connected with work, because they were really unrelated. Sure. I just said, well, I'm meeting with so many people all the time. Why don't I just give all of them, like, this is my thank you to you, as the gift of gratitude, and let you choose gratitude. And how this has changed my life, maybe it'll change yours too.
I love that.
And so that's where it started.
So it sounds like, the question that I asked was, did you grow up around gratitude, or was that, an innate part of you? And it sounds like it was. Like this was a thread throughout your family growing up. And to see that visible, to have that memory of those visible things, I think is so important. Translating that to the journal, which now you give out to probably hundreds of people at this point, and being able to show your gratitude for what they are bringing to your life in that capacity, Randy, that's beautiful. I want to ask you what your definition of gratitude is, because I think gratitude is part of resilience. It is aligned with resilience. And sometimes it can take a really long time to realize that gratitude is the key to becoming a more resilient soul. So, for you, what is your definition of gratitude?
Well, I think on the highest level is that gratitude is the highest form of acceptance of what is, as it is, and it is good as it is. And that's really hard because sometimes what is hurts. So I'll go into that. But if I go kind of more fundamental, there's different levels of this where there's appreciation. And I think there's different levels of gratitude, right? And appreciation, saying please and thank you, I mean, is amazing. Like these practices and teaching that. I mean, those are wonderful things that our parents taught us, or that we teach to our kids, is to say please and thank you. And I think our words really matter. I just had someone on my podcast recently that wrote a book about how important our words are, the word effect, and 7 words that'll help us change and to live a purposeful, meaningful life. But Becky Kemp it's awesome.
I shout out to Becky.
Yeah.
We're going to talk with her soon too, but that was a really good episode, by the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So she talks about the importance of words. And so expressing gratitude is part of the whole process of gratitude. But I think the end goal is living and feeling gratitude inside my heart. And that's the constant choice that we can make. And sometimes it's really hard, but I think it begins with the choice of what's a daily practice I can do to see gratitude. And that may be writing, well, what am I grateful for? And then asking myself, well, I'm grateful for this because, and then that takes me one step beyond that.
So being very specific.
Yeah, being specific. I'm grateful for this. And then want to power it up another level. I'm obviously grateful for warm chocolate chip cookies, right? And I'm grateful for a date with my wife. And I'm grateful for these things, some people call it the given gifts, right? That are there for to come. I'm grateful for that. But what about the hard thing? How do we be grateful for that? And I know we've had some deep conversations about going through some hard stuff. How do we express, or not express, how do we feel? Do we really feel and accept gratitude for that pain? Is that possible? Is that real? Is that reasonable? Yeah, it is.
While you're in it.
While you're in it. That is the hard part.
Yeah.
Because I would say, well, I don't need to be grateful for, and maybe I'll say it different, is, you get fired from your job today. Well, I can't just say, well, I'm so grateful I got fired today. It's not that.
Right.
That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm so grateful that my marriage is falling apart, for my bankruptcy, for the death of.
Well, yeah, because that's not real, right? That's not a heartfelt.
And I think I also think that there's kind of a cultural, especially in our community, a culture that's too quick to say, oh, well, it's all a blessing and it's all for a reason. And I'm like, no, it's important to feel that emotion and that pain, to process it, right? And that's really important for us to process this. And I think all of this is important to lead to this transcendent feeling of gratitude, the higher level of acceptance. Yeah. Okay. And that to me is when I go backwards and I say, oh yeah, well, this is when I lost my job. And I'm not grateful for losing my job, but then to see the gratitude afterwards, and now I can change my story of that because I can see it better. And now my past suddenly has meaning. We're meaning making machines. Yes. Like we want to attach meaning and story. Yeah. But we have the power to change our story and be productive and powerful and purposeful with that if we're intentional. And I think that training ourselves in gratitude frees us from that, because otherwise, what do I feel? I feel like I'm a victim. I feel like somebody owed me something. Everything is on the outside. It's like these things have happened to me. But if I can turn gratitude on myself, and it's me, it's my choice. Yeah. It's nobody else's responsibility but mine. Right. I get to choose gratitude, and then I can reframe that, and it's liberating. Gratitude liberates me from those things. So I think that gratitude is free and freeing.
I like that.
Because it liberates me from entitlement, resentment, and all of those things. Yeah. To be joyful, even through the hard stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I think so much disappointment and frustration and hurt comes from an expectation that wasn't met, that actually nobody gave to you to begin with, right? Sometimes it's your own desires for something to be a certain way and to have that crushed. And I think gratitude for me, Randy, similar to you, it is a learned practice. Gratitude is deeply, it's a deep resonance, right? That you have to continuously build and go to for me. So when we get to those places where we are in yet another challenge, yet another deep challenge, different from the challenge before, for me, gratitude has been the saving grace in those moments to remember, okay, I already did a hard thing. And I was able to pull myself out of that because I was grateful for X, Y, and Z. Let me draw on that gratitude to now reframe gratitude for this situation.
You said such a powerful word as remember. It's so important. I think so much of our life consists of remembering, and not just remembering the answer for my test, but remembering the actions that I've taken in the past to get myself to where I am now.
Yeah.
And that's what you described as well. I remember I was strong enough. I came through that in the past. I can come through this again. That remembering is so powerful.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, I've got it in me. I'm stronger than I thought I was.
Right. But I think of it like it's an imprint. Like you have to allow those difficult, challenging experiences to be imprinted on, and not the experience itself, but what you've learned from that experience and how you pulled yourself out of that. It has to be part of your DNA. And that requires an intense amount of practice. And so when we talk about a gratitude practice, I think for me personally, it's more than just writing down the things that I'm grateful for. It's also applying real life experience to each of those things that I'm listing, right? And so I'd love to know for you, Randy, when you get really deep, and I know that you also do breathing. I know you coach people through breathing exercises and breath work. And I shared that with you last time. I've never experienced anything like I did when I've only done 2 or 3 sessions of breath work, and it literally life-changing for me. I've never had that experience where your body just responds so organically to breath. Anyway, we could talk a whole thing about that, but I know that part of that experience is to heal, and gratitude. You can't go through that breathwork experience without having some sense of deep connection to yourself and to the things that you are grateful for. And so for you, when you coach people, how do you incorporate that deep sense of gratitude into your practice with other people?
Well, I would say for myself, I don't know that I've ever gone through a breathwork experience without feeling a deep sense of gratitude.
Yeah.
And I can talk about maybe why I feel that, and everybody that I've done it with, or that I've facilitated for, or I've been in a group doing this. Everybody has a different experience. If you and I are both doing a meditation together, even if it's guided, we're both going to have a different experience. Even if someone's guiding us through the same process and journey through that, your experience will be different than mine. Maybe thematically they'll be similar. But it's rare for me to see somebody go through a breath work without, almost always they say, I feel gratitude.
Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah. And why? I mean, I know that there's people who talk about kind of the science of breath and the energy and things that come into it. And some people say, that doesn't even matter. I just know how it makes me feel. And to me, I feel like it's like breath. We have, again, this is another thing that is free. It is free and it is at our disposal. And when I am feeling the opposite of gratitude, when I'm feeling the opposite of joy and hope and belief, well, what am I feeling? Stress and anxiety and judgment.
Closed off and
If we're aware enough to say, well, what's my breath like in that moment? I'm shallow and I'm up in here. I'm not getting any breath in me. But what happens to our whole body and our nervous system in this is when we can breathe, we shut off, or we activate our parasympathetic nervous system, we feel relaxed and safe and open when we do this. And then energy is traveling through our body. We're made up of energy and frequency. I mean, this is what breath is that's coming through our body. And then I believe, I'm definitely a faithful person, and I believe that it goes far beyond that into infinite and transcendent and God or spirit, whatever people may want to say. But to me, it's a very spiritual practice.
Yeah.
And I can harness that through my breath intentionally. And so it's almost just a very deep gratitude practice for me.
Yeah.
Just the physical act of going through this breathwork process. So, and in part, I think it's because with all that high frequency energy through breath, that's really it. I'm breathing,
right?
But I'm completely present and undistracted and able to feel safe and open to myself. And then I can see those things, and you know what? Judgment fades away.
Yeah.
And I can see truth in my own heart and connection to higher power and to those positive emotions.
Yeah, I really love that connection between what you said earlier was that, almost everybody that goes through a breathwork session, their default is gratitude. And for me, the 3 sessions that I've done, I think that's interesting that everybody in that room has an opportunity to share what was their feeling, what are you walking away from, in this experience. And even if you're, and this goes back to feeling gratitude in the struggle, right? Because when you've allowed your body to be at rest and you've fueled it with breath, deep breath, resonating breath, you are grateful. Wow, you're grateful you came through that. You're grateful you've worked through a little bit of pain or trauma or whatever it is that you need to work through in that moment. And I do think that's so interesting that the common response is, I feel grateful.
Yeah. And I think my physical body is thanking me for that.
Yes.
And then, my mind doesn't know what else to say other than, I just feel so much gratitude. And my body is literally, every cell in my body is just saying, thank you. Yes. I needed this.
Yes.
Right. But then there's so much more. There's the emotional and mental and spiritual that come along with that as well. But physically, it's also incredible.
But when you hear the spirit of gratitude, I was thinking about this, knowing that we were going to talk, and I was thinking about that spirit of gratitude and tying that back into not just a breathwork session and practice, but also the application of showing or being in gratitude on a daily basis. That has its own energy to it. That is a unique energy driver that galvanizes people to change, right? To make changes in their life. And so there is a definitive spirit of gratitude that is unique to any other emotion that we go through.
Yeah. And think about what's unique about that too. And I keep saying, choose gratitude because that is something that we have control over.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of external forces upon us, and sometimes internal forces upon us, right? Where I have thoughts and emotions that come and they ebb and flow. But I have tools at my disposal. And one of them is I get to choose gratitude. And some of the methods of executing on that may be, an intentional written gratitude practice, or others may be that I've just trained myself in a habit of expressing appreciation. And that changes. But how quickly, almost immediately, somebody can flip simply through gratitude. I mean, there's so much information on that, supporting that instantly through gratitude, we can change our emotion, change our frequency from a low frequency to a high frequency through gratitude.
Yeah. And we can change other people's frequency by being grateful to them for something, or even just presenting as a truly grateful person. I know you're friends with Curtis, and we've brought this up a couple of times on the show with different guests, but Curtis's work in Counterfeit Emotions is beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I think I always go back to thankful versus gratitude. They are different. I think about those manners that you mentioned earlier, the pleases and the thank yous. And we say those things because they're polite things to say to recognize on the surface that somebody's engaging with us in a nice way. But when you are actually in deep gratitude, it becomes your resting heartbeat. You approach everything through that lens. And so I really value all the unique ways that we can tangibly give gratitude to other people so that spirit of gratitude is transferable to them. And what that does for them, right? It imprints on them that somebody was deeply grateful or did something out of genuine love and appreciation. And that has a totally different feeling associated with it.
It does. And this is the ripple that can just expand forever. This comes back to our, I am insignificant, yet I can have this massive infinite influence. Well, how can we do that? It's the gratitude stone. Chester Elton, this great guy. He gave me this gratitude stone. He's kind of the guru of gratitude, and the apostle of appreciation. He's got all these nicknames.
The apostle of appreciation. Is that his? Does he go by that title?
Yep.
That's amazing.
Or the Dalai Lama of workplace trauma.
Wow.
He's got all these awesome nicknames, but he's in the leadership space, and he wrote a book called Leading with Gratitude. But I met him once, and I don't think he's not the only one that has these, but he has these little gratitude stones, and he just gives them to people, these little shiny rocks, and they have gratitude carved into it. And so you put it in your pocket and you carry it around. But if you think of the stone, you throw the stone in a pond, well, the ripples begin to expand, and there's more than one ripple. But then those ripples travel. And what are they going to impact? Yeah. Right. And so this is your expression of gratitude. And so you said how that can change somebody else, not just me, because I feel it, then me again, because I'm expressing it. And that something happens in my own brain when I feel something. And then I go through the thoughtful process of translating that into communication, into words to express that to somebody, because then I reinforce that that's how I'm actually feeling. And I'm teaching myself to continue to feel that way. And that's a reward. Yeah. Right. And then there's a positive brain chemical dump when I do that. When I express sincere gratitude to somebody else, there's a cocktail of chemicals that flow when that happens. But the person receiving that has the exact same chemical dump. Yeah. And so receiving sincere expression of gratitude does that. But it's even cooler? Somebody observing it that's totally unrelated to the experience. Watching it. Observing it has the same chemical dump. And so look at the expansion of these ripples. And I love that word expansion because it's, that's one symbol of the ripples expanding. But it's me and my energy and my possibility, I am expanding through this experience, and you're expanding because I expressed that gratitude. And how do we do that? Yeah. We teach these manners. Think about this. One word can change this expression of gratitude. I can say, thank you. And that's polite. But what if I say, Carrie, thank you because. Yes. Yeah. Right? Because changes everything. Because now that I have something specific to say. Yeah. And it's personal. Personal, it's specific, it's connective. Intentional, it's very directed. Yeah. And the meaning behind that's so important. And that's if I'm expressing gratitude to you. But if I'm having my own individual practice and I write, I am so grateful that I was on Carrie's podcast today. That's real. That's true. There's but if I write because. Now I take myself to that next level, and it solidifies things even deeper. Yeah. And then I'm even teaching myself, why was I grateful for that? And so that because is so empowering. And behavior changing. It's literally, it's dynamically changing your behavior incrementally. I really appreciate that. So for you, Randy, how do you, you've just gone through a few ways that you express gratitude, very, very specific and, intentional. How do you cultivate that in your home with your kids? And I think this is something that parents, we forget sometimes to be intentional about the gratitude that we give to our family, to our own people. Yeah. Okay. So for one, I'd say, man, I wish I had more influence than I think I actually do in my home. We talked about that a minute ago.
But you can, because this practice can allow you to have that influence.
And so I think, I mean, we've gone through stages, and our kids are different ages.
Yeah.
And when we had them more captive, we would do, when we'd sit for a meal, everyone would go in a circle and we would say 3 gratitudes, and so they weren't keeping journals necessarily, but my wife and I were, but we just ask, okay, everybody, while we're eating our meal, just what are you grateful for? And sometimes they'd say the same thing every day. And I'm like, but they are grateful for that. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we really had no rules other than, like, I'm grateful that I don't have to be near my stupid brother. I mean, we try
I'm
to shift it
grateful
away
Sally didn't hit me back.
But they were great at it. And then at some of the time they would be the ones requesting it, and saying, oh, let's do grateful for. Cool. And then they get older and more teenage and kind of distracted by external things, and we have far less influence on them. And so my wife and I, the way we talk to each other about it is to say, well, what can we do? We can be this way. And if we behave that way, and then if we express gratitude to them and are sincere and specific, and we blow it all the time, but we try to say, you know what, if we just live, try to practice what we're preaching, then we hope that that's creating an environment that feels like something. And they might not know what that is right now, but they're going to go and experience life somewhere else. And they're going to feel, and they might even wonder, like, this feels different. Yeah. But when they come home, they're like, oh, there's that feeling. And so that's what we hope for. And something I would say about that is when expressing gratitude to our children, is to focus on, I love the specific, directed, intentional, I'm great, thank you because, and to point out the positive. It's opportunities, because they're leaving messes and they're doing this and being mean to their sibling, and they're doing all the things that were frankly just pissed off at them for all the things. And I just like, I'm feeling all those emotions.
You need a breath work session.
And they need, and they're starving for that acknowledgement of appreciation. Man, now I'm feeling like so guilty, which is good, because this is moving me toward them. I want to go express this gratitude to them. But to express that gratitude for them and focus on their character instead of their actions or achievements.
I had Sean Finnegan, who's a friend of mine, come on, and he was talking he was particularly talking about recognizing his daughters, and the research that, shows how very particular and specific you have to be with your daughters, with your women, about the things that are beautiful, wonderful, what they're doing, and he used the example of, your cheekbones look amazing in that light today, even getting down to the physical features of what they look like, or what they've done differently, or that they're even trying something new, just recognizing them helps them feel seen. And so he keeps this practice of observations about his daughters, and a physical journal of that he can give to them, so that they can see that he's really been actively engaged in watching them develop and grow at some point in time. And he shares that with them regularly. But I just thought, what a beautiful way to observe, because so much of gratitude is observing. You can't be grateful for the thing, deeply grateful, unless you can sit in a space where you see it and you study it and you recognize it,
And you just hit it right there, is what is that doing? I'm doing this with the intention of influencing my daughter, helping her feel, show her how much I love and care about her. But what happens when I do that? I am the one who sees how I actually feel. I am choosing to see those things. And so I am just expanded, and I feel so much love for them. And I think this changes marriages. I think this saves marriages, because I actually have a friend, my wife and I are actually close to completing a gratitude journal, a 90-day gratitude journal for couples.
Cool.
Where there's a process, that it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But it's specifically directed towards not just general gratitude, but specifically directed, I'm grateful for my spouse because, and a series of those. And then there's other things that happen weekly and so on. So it's a completely doable in a few minutes a day practice that will transform.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend recently. We actually went on a couples retreat with him, but he works with couples as an executive coach, with CEOs in their business, but he also works with them saying, like, if they're failing at home, what good is the success in their business?
Right.
And so it's kind of combined. And anytime people have a shaky marriage, he says, okay, like, this is fine, but before we engage in that conversation, this is what we need you to commit to do. Or even just the individual that he's coaching. He's like, I want you to spend, this many days, and we're going to, a month or however long, of just keeping a gratitude journal about your spouse. What are you grateful for about your spouse?
Unshared. Just privately to yourself.
Unshared privately to themselves. And he says every single time, in his case, every single time they've come back and they're like, yeah, no, I don't want to split up.
Oh.
But I think it takes two. And if like, I mean, how fortunate if both are willing to step in and engage in this.
Yeah.
I know that for me, sometimes I'm the problem. I've been the problem with the connection with my spouse, where I've been the one that's distanced, or my behaviors have been moving me away from her. And so how do I fall in love with her again?
Yeah.
How do I choose that? Well, there's the answer. It's choose. Okay, well, I want that. Well, now what can I do about it? And here's one thing that I invite you to do about it.
Yeah.
It's keep a gratitude journal. I mean, whether this is for 1 week or 1 month or longer, but just keep a daily gratitude. Write 3 things you're grateful for about your spouse every day. And don't repeat.
Yeah.
Something new every day. And I want to hear what you learned from it.
Yes.
like comment in this episode.
Yes,
Tell us what
please.
you learned from it.
That would be amazing.
But I promise it will change. But here's the power up invitation is when you're done. Look back, whether this was for a week, a month, or so on, but just think of this person. You've just spent all this time thinking about someone that you're grateful for, focusing on that for some period of time. And I would say a month would be the ideal.
Yeah.
Right. And our book is going to be a 90-day process, and there's going to be things each week and each month. And then at the end, there's the culmination. And I'll give you the final chapter, right? Here's the culmination.
Okay.
Is reflect back on all of that.
Yeah.
And then you will have the opportunity to see, wow, look how much there is that is my gratitude for my person.
Yeah.
And now write the letter of gratitude to that person, expressing all of that and all of your feelings and emotions, and then share it with them.
That's so beautiful, Randy. I love that. At being divorced myself, I feel there were so many times throughout that process where I really did dig into my heart of gratitude, if you will, to find the ways that I could move through that process, heal that relationship, make it a little bit better. And I mean, the marriage still ended in divorce, but the practice of doing that was so valuable for me, because then it also opened me up to, for future relationships, to be able to have that practice in place. Because had I maybe had that earlier, I would have practiced that earlier, and I don't have any idea what kind of influence that could have had based on the situation that I was in. But the repetitiveness of doing that and having to go to the well of that gratitude to remember, oh, I am grateful for this thing. And it did soften me a great deal. It softened me to be able to stay a little bit longer and see if I could heal it a little bit differently. And so I can imagine what a beautiful exercise that is to go through in a marriage that 2 people want to have that reconnection. And I think that can happen with anybody. It could happen with your grandparents. It could happen with your neighbor. It could happen with, especially if we're talking about reconciling something, reconnection. What an powerful tool. And it's so disarming, gratitude is so disarming, right? To your point, if you have conflict you need to resolve, there's no better way than to start the conversation out by saying, I just want you to know how grateful I am because.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I will say that it's difficult sometimes to accept, to receive gratitude.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes to me and expresses that, I might feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Because it's not common. People don't do this all the time.
Yes.
If they're opening their heart and expressing that deep
That's
gratitude.
vulnerable. Yeah.
And then some people might feel uncomfortable in that and don't know how to receive and respond. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's them.
Yeah.
That's them. And so you get to decide how you present this to them. I mean, I hope that spouses can engage in this together, but sometimes this might be an individual where you don't have your spouse engaging in it with you. And this is my practice and I'm choosing to write what I'm grateful for my spouse to change me. Right.
Yeah.
And then I can give them this letter at the end. And that may influence it's just to re-fall in love. It's amazing. You said something a moment ago that made me think, kind of attached to reconciliation. And reconciliation is a really hard thing. Yeah. Because sometimes we've been hurt really bad and it is not our fault.
Yeah.
Somebody totally on their own made decisions that affect me and it hurts. And it is their fault. So I am in fact a victim of their decision. Okay. I don't promote a victim mindset, but sometimes we are the victim of something.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If you get hit in a car accident, you were the victim of the car accident. That's the fact.
But there's a difference between being a victim of something and being a victim.
Sure.
Right. And that's in our choice and our behavior. And the grace I have for people who have those feelings, they feel justification in that, and they are, because something did happen to them. But how do we get beyond that? I mean, we're going to get eaten alive if we live in that. Yeah. And so how do we transcend it and get beyond it? Well, reconciliation is this process. I'm not the reconciliation and forgiveness expert. I just know that for one, my marriage has lasted as long as it is because it's filled with forgiveness. And I'm grateful for that. That's one of the things I'm most grateful for. But beyond that is a friend was teaching me the other day about this idea, this highest level. He said he used to believe that forgiveness was kind of that final culminating step when something's happened and I've been wronged, and arriving at forgiveness and saying, okay, well, forgiveness has happened. So no, there's another level beyond that. Yeah. And that is now gratitude for it.
That. Yeah.
And that's the transcendent piece. It's, well, now how am I grateful for that hurtful pain that required this painful experience to even arrive at needing forgiveness and reconciliation, but to then feel gratitude for that. And I think an exercise that can help with that is the letter in reverse of the gratitude for the past. And so one can be a gratitude letter to my younger self to say, wow, look at all the sacrifice and decisions that you've made and the hard things that you've done, younger version of Randy, to help me become who I am right now. So that is empowering.
Gosh, and Randy, that is a resilient activity to go back and to thank yourself for what you have given yourself, what you have given to your life in the most challenging times. That's a beautiful place. You know, we talked earlier about just having that imprint on you and being able to pull from that remembrance of those experiences. And I think that comment really resonated with me, obviously, because I struck a chord with me. But yeah, I love that, to be able to go back and to, I think in spouses too, we forget how much we've actually done for each other, how much we've been there, how much we've lived with, you know, the emotional banter and frustration and highs and lows and all those things. We forget that we've built this journey together. And so I really appreciate that you used the word grace earlier, because I think forgiveness is much easier when you have grace, and grace is developed, in my purview, through gratitude. It's an empathy. They're all attached, right? All of these things, they work together. But for me, the gratitude grows empathy, and it grows grace, and it grows resilience. And it is the root of all things that are positive in my life. And going back to those moments to remember that I did something amazing, that I gave myself grace, that I forgive myself for doing whatever those things are. Well, I raised the frequency, and now I can do that for my kids, and I can do that for, others in my life, and to feel that that's just beautiful. Even just sitting here thinking about that experience of doing that to your own self is just so beautiful. So thank you for uncovering that for me. I really appreciate that.
And I love how you've connected it to resilience, because that is a revelatory experience to point out how resilient I actually am.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not, I need to become resilient. It's like, no, you are.
I am.
Look.
Yeah.
Look, here is all the evidence of your resilience.
Yeah.
And now, and you call this the Refined Resilience podcast. Well, you want to find it?
Yeah.
There's somewhere you can go looking for it.
That's right. That's right. It's right within you. It was 5 years ago, 2 years ago, yesterday. You are this thing. And so when the next challenge comes, you've built up this pool that you can dig into and find the power and the strength that you need to go to the next thing, because you're building it along the way. Randy, I would love to know, we're short on time, and I hate that, because every time I talk to you, I just want to keep talking to you.
This is even better, because then we just get to do it again.
I know. We'll have to have Randy part 2. We'll pick a different part of gratitude to focus on. But for you, what is your specific personal definition of resilience?
So when I thought of a story that's personal, and I haven't really told this to many people, but this relates to looking back at the past and the belief in myself because of that. And I had this experience where I was on this retreat, and I was alone, and I picked up this little stone on the ground early in the morning, and I'm in the mountains, and I was just holding it, and I don't know where the thought came from, but I said, I'm just going to hold on to this stone all day, and it's going to represent my younger self, the little child that I once was, that's in me. And so I just put it in my pocket, and I'd hold it, and I'd kind of carry it around with me all day. And then we were on this hike with a group of men, and we'd have these conversations about some topics along the way. And then at one point along the way, which I found out later, the guide had never brought up this before until that day.
Wow.
He said, at this waypoint, he said, we all have this little boy inside of us. And I'm thinking, I've kind of been like having this thought process in my mind every day of just kind of loving that younger me. And he said, and we were given the invitation to think about him, and for the next quarter mile or so, just go walk alone, separated from anyone in the group, and have a conversation with him. And so I did. And when you're driving to work and you arrive and you say, oh my gosh, like, how did I get here? Like, I don't remember any of the turns I made, but I did all of it safely along the way. It was an experience like that where I didn't see anything. All I had was this vision of this younger version of me as a little boy. And we were staring in each other's eyes. And he was just looking back at me with all the hope and joy of a child, of wonder, and hadn't been broken down by anything yet. And I just was filled with that joy of what's possible.
Yeah.
Because I know what that is, because it was me. And then in an instant, well, first I felt, and man, you have no idea how much better it's going to be. And then I immediately was overcome by darkness and pain, because this innocent little boy has no idea the heartbreak and the pain and the betrayal and the all of these things that he's going to experience in his life. And I know all of that. And I'm like, oh, he has no idea. He has no clue what he's going to face. And then immediately after that, I just felt almost like just these arms wrap around me and then a whisper in my ear. Well, and then all the peace. I just felt all this peace and love. And yeah, I believe in Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt this whisper in my ear saying, Randy Sparks, now you understand the atonement.
Mm.
And I thought, I know all the joy and pain of what this younger version of me is going to experience. And he's capable of all of it.
Mm.
And so in that small experience, I still have that little stone and a little photo. I sitting in front of a photo of me that I just have sitting in my office on my desk to represent that.
Mm-hmm.
But what it shows to me is the resilience of that boy.
Yeah.
That's a symbol to me of what I'm capable of, because there's a future version of me looking back on me right now, cheering me on and believing in me, that no matter what I face, that power is inside me to go through whatever may come. And I'll be okay.
Randy, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I really, really love the girl that's coming in front of me, the woman that's going to look back and say, can you believe it? Can you believe what we did? I'm really looking forward to that. You're going to make me cry. So on that note, Randy, thank you for sharing this sacred space with me. And it is really, this podcast is really sacred space for me. It's my heart. And I am just so deeply honored by the people that have come to share their life experience with me and spend a little bit of energy exchange in this corner of the world. And this matters. This matters to people. It matters to us right here. It matters to the world. Connection, gratitude, resilience. These are things that we all can experience and will experience and do if we choose them. And I really, really appreciate you being here. So where can we find more out about you? Where do we go to find your podcast?
Sparks of Gratitude.
Okay.
On all the socials.
Okay.
Sparks of Gratitude. YouTube, podcast.
Okay. Awesome.
Sparksofgratitude.com. You'll find it. And I would be so grateful if you check it out. It's a meaningful project for me. And I hope that you choose gratitude. And please keep listening to this podcast because this is changing people, and the ripple of this is just going to change the world.
Randy, thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. Please, we will drop the Sparks of Gratitude link in the show notes below, and please make sure that you listen to it. And Randy, thank you for being awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refined Resilience. We hope you found inspiration in the stories shared and the small moments that remind us all of our strength. Remember, resilience is built not just in the big challenges we face, but in the everyday experiences that shape who we are. A special thanks to our sponsor, Build Then Bless, for making Refined Resilience possible. Until next time, remember, it's the small moments of resilience that make us great.